He was the ultimate citizen soldier, though initially something of an unlikely hero. Medal of Honor winner Alvin C. York hailed from the mountain country of Pall Mall, Tennessee. And when the First World War broke out, he was anything but an enthusiastic participant. But that would all change, in a big way. He was the third in a line of 11 children. York's father was a blacksmith who preferred the open hunting fields to his forge, and his love of guns and hunting rubbed off on young Alvin at an early age.
See, his grandfather belonged to the Long Hunters, and they came in here around 1800, a little before 1800. And there was a group of people came in and called them the Long Hunters, and they made their living by hunting. And they were all good shots, and that's where they kind of sprung down from. And now everybody down in the valley, we have a lot of good shooters here.
As shown in these post-war photos, York's chosen gun was his father's Kentucky rifle, a gun that was favored by most of the other mountain people as well. He had a natural eye for shooting and was generally the winner at the numerous beef and turkey shoots in his area. Despite his strong Christian upbringing, York took to living a life a bit on the wild side, making frequent trips to the state line for cheap whiskey and generally carousing and raising Cain. Finally, after his mother's strong admonitions, he became a staunch member of the Christ and Christian Union Church and gave up his former ways. When the United States entered World War I, Alvin, like other men in his area, had to register for the draft. At first, he tried to gain conscientious objector status, but was inducted anyway, eventually being assigned to the 82nd All-American Division. Finally, after talking to his battalion commander and after much soul-searching, York applied for a pass to return home and think things over. Following much prayer, he felt he had received the word and believed that God would not hold it against him if he went to war. After training, he was sent to France, finally ending up in the Argonne Forest, where on Hill 223 he would perform the famous feat of arms that would earn him the Congressional Medal of Honor, make him a national hero, and eventually be documented in the 1940 film Sgt.York, starring Gary Cooper in an Oscar-winning performance.
I've got his diary carried off to the war. And if you remember in the movie, if you read his diary and then follow the battle scene in the movie, it's step by step with his diary. And when they captured a few, and then he had 5 or 6 buddies, and they helped him down, he said he went around to the right, up to where the machine guns was, and he said they were spitting bullets all around me. And he said when he captured them up there, he said when he came over the hill, I had approximately 90 prisoners. Then he came down, you know, the major said, asked how many men they had. He said he had a plenty, and then his buddies in his diary, he said, what are we going to do with them? We can't handle this many. He said, yeah, we can't. So when they started out, they started shooting again. They were in a trench, lined up going out. They started shooting on the hill again. And you made the major blow the whistle, and they gave up and come down. So every bit of that's in his diary.
Following a raking by German machine guns, in which his company sergeant was severely wounded, York found himself caught in the open about 25 yards from the enemy. Realizing he was now in command, he began firing at the Germans, shooting them in the manner he had devised while duck hunting in Tennessee.
When I was growing up, I'd go over to the river with him behind the barn, and he'd send me up the creek, and I'd jump the ducks. And when they came over, he used this gun here. That's a 1911 Remington on Brown and Patton. But he always shot the back duck and then came up to the front. He said if you shoot the front one first, they fire off and you wouldn't get any more.
The 82nd was actually issued with 1917 Enfields, but York didn't like the gun's peep sights, so he opted to use a model 1903 Springfield as well as a Colt 45 government model in his exploits. Rounding up the captured Germans, York and his other squad members herded them back to the American lines. When they were totaled up, they numbered 132. Later, his brigade commander commented, "Well, York, I understand you captured the whole German army." York corrected him, replying, "No, sir, only 132. Later, when asked just how he did it, York replied, "I surrounded them." For his feat, York was awarded America's highest military decoration, the Medal of Honor. After presenting York with the Legion of Honor, French commanding General Ferdinand Foch proclaimed, What you did was the greatest thing accomplished by a private soldier in all the armies of Europe. York eventually returned to his beloved mountains, where he married his sweetheart and was presented with a house by the state of Tennessee. Today, the building with all of York's original furnishings and memorabilia is a state park open to the public. A short ways away from the home, in a picturesque little cemetery, York and his wife lie peacefully side by side, the pleasant surroundings a stark contrast to the hellish experiences of Hill 223.